this is a bonkers, insane ride of a movie, and the whole opening section just had me. It set up a lot of things that I were expecting to pay off that never happened. like like the very first thing that takes place before we get to the drug deal, which is definitely a drug deal, is that the kids' parents, James's parents, are eaten by a flying mechanical rhinoceros.
Yeah.
So
that's all the context you get. there's nothing.
I believe the line is something along the lines of, "Suddenly, a rhinoceros." Something like that. You know, it just pops out of the sky, flies down, and kills his parents.
Yeah, well, I think that was supposed to be, the
metaphor.
the fancies of memory. In the book, I believe they're just devoured by a loose, rhinoceros from the zoo.
Yeah.
Or crushed or killed or something. Yeah.
I like the idea of it being like a metaphor for like a storm or.
That's what I always thought that it was.
Mm-hmm.
But then rewatching it, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
Well, it could be an airplane, like if this is during wartime. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, what I will say though is, of all of Roald Dahl's stories, this one is probably the most insane and hard to follow. At least the ones I've read or watched. Or
Charlie and the Great Grass Elevator is kind of weird.
Yeah, like I said, I only did Charlie and Chalk Factory, which is itself pretty crazy. But
it is.
But,
and with the Great Glass Elevator, I don't remember it too well. They go up to a space station.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
There's also a sky hook. That's how the elevator works in a Great Grass Elevator.
I want to know really quickly though, did you guys like this movie?
No.
There's nothing wrong with this movie, but it does not make sense. And I kept waiting for things to be like, oh, now I understand the moral of the story, or oh, this is the metaphor.
We lost
story,
him.
and there's just not one of those. It is everything that's presented, like it is presented very dreamlike and odd visuals, and you're like, okay, I mean, I guess at some point they're gonna tell me what actually happened or what the real thing is, or like James is gonna wake up from his fever dream and realize he just ran away from home. Nope, that doesn't happen. Everything that you see on the screen, I can only assume is the literal events that took place.
It's like Life of Pi, but if Life of Pi didn't actually have a good ending.
That's a great example. That is a great example.
Yeah, so this movie definitely makes no sense, for sure. But
like the random mecha shark in the ocean.
Yeah,
that made no sense. I mean, the book makes more sense than the movie.
Does it? Okay,
it does.
I think I read the book because I don't have any recollection of a mecha shark.
I mean, so in the movie, at some point they end up floating in the ocean on a giant peach, and some kind of weird robotic shark starts eating them or attacking them and trying to
it like shoots a harpoon into the peach.
Yeah, it's very strange and makes no sense. In the book, they are floating in the ocean and trying to figure out what to do next, and the peach floating there attracts sharks, and the sharks are starting to like take bites out of the peach because there's this thing floating in the water, and everyone on board, all the characters, are starting to panic that it's going to sink the peach and they're going to die and all this stuff. And that's where they come up with their solution to wrangle seagulls and get lifted off into the air.
Because that's how sharks work. Because sharks just like, there's a random thing. Let's take a bite out of it, see what it is.
Sure. But the thing is, I mean, well, then after they escape and achieve liftoff, I think they go down to like assess the damage, and discover that the sharks were not able to make much headway. Like they were afraid of sharks taking these giant bites out of the peach. But I think for some reason it stuck with me. Roald Dahl used the analogy of you ever seen a dog trying to get its mouth around a giant ball and it just can't? There's no angle where it can really get a good grip on it. It's like that for the sharks. So they really didn't do much damage at all.
Yeah.
It was something that they were afraid of, but it wasn't a threat.
See, I thought I watched this movie as a child, but now that Peter's bringing it up, because I have no recollection of a metallic shark, but I remember sharks. Just no weird metallic sharks. So I think I read the book, not watched the movie.
So I can honestly tell you that I did not remember a single goddamn thing about this movie. Except
despite watching it twice a day.
Yes, yeah, the only things I remembered were all like, I remembered that it was live action and then animated, and I remembered the two mean aunts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it.
I do know the movie used a lot of quotes, especially in the beginning from the book, because I remember like the aunts talking were a lot of the quotes from the book.
But I was assuming that they were quotes because they all ended up rhyming.
Yeah. But I will say the animation I thought was beautiful.
Really, really good animation. The stop motion.
Yeah.
And
if you want to know the reason why the set looks so weird, the set designer was Tim Burton.
No, you can tell Tim Burton had his hands up in this thing, which we'll get to.
Tim
later.
Burton, produced it, and that explains so very much.
You can just tell. I mean,
I think Jack Skellington is there in a minute.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
he was a pirate.
Yeah, there's also a skeleton Donald Duck.
Yep.
Yeah, that was super weird.
It was very strange.
Yeah, I do have a note dedicated to skeleton Donald Duck.
Yeah, same. But I want to talk about right at the beginning, opening up this film. The very first moment that like the title card came up and it had that sort of matte background with matte black background with these sort of bugs sort of drawn onto it, like the butterfly and ladybug.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That moment, as soon as that happened, it just hit me like something deep in my childhood that I haven't seen in years.
Mm-hmm. Would you call it nostalgia?
Yeah, it's visceral though. It was visceral. And the scene where he's with his parents on the beach and they're talking, they bring out the birthday cake and they go, the tallest building in the world, and he turns his head and sees the Empire State. Like all of that stuff I hadn't thought about in 20 years. But it was like so familiar. I haven't experienced this level of like nostalgia this strongly in a very, very long time.
I mean, so the movie is bad. But so was this a positive experience for you?
Oh my god, yeah. It was like I loved every moment of this.
That's awesome.
You know, it's like I can acknowledge that it's not a good movie and that it makes no sense, but because of that childhood component, I love it.